We're recording. Oh my god. This is episode number 72, guys. We just did a count.
Crazy.
Wild.
Crazy. So blessed.
So blessed. Mm-hmm. Girl, you doing the intro?
Oh god, sorry.
Hello. We are recording a show.
I was just gonna start talking shit. Oh my god, welcome to Two Black Girls, One Rose.
Where two black ass girls invade the whitest show on earth. The Bachelorettes. I'm Natasha.
And I'm Justine.
And fuck the patriarchy. Fuck the patriarchy and Luke P's bullshit. Ooh. And all men like him who believe they can have a say in what the fuck I do with my body.
Oh my god, terrible.
God, what an episode this was.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not even just Luke, but like even the other overnight dates.
Yeah.
Like, aside from Peter's, which was kind of boring, Tyler's, Jed.
Yeah.
It was a lot happening. And then, of course, good old Luke, who gave us a lot of content to discuss tonight.
Mm-hmm.
What are your initial thoughts, Justine?
Firstly, I feel like this episode needed a trigger warning before it. I feel like they haven't been sensitive enough to put a trigger warning before these episodes. And this one absolutely needed it.
This one and just the whole rest of the season, the whole season with Luke and his emotional abusiveness, all of that could have been with a nice warning. Mm-hmm. Jesus. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Luke P embodies the attitude of a lot of Christian men when you are a Christian woman looking for a husband. And it's tough to watch him not budge at all.
Yeah.
He's using lies to make it seem like he's gonna budge, but he will never. Nope. And I know so many Luke P's. So many. And I don't know where this came from of the wife that you have has to be validated by her previous sexual partners. I don't really know where that stems from.
From the Bible and women having to be pure and keep the marriage bed sacred, and women can't do this, that, and the third. But men have to be pure too
in the Bible.
Yeah, but I feel like there's always, not always, I feel like there is the same tone that they bring in is something from, I don't know what scripture, because I don't know what Bible they be reading, but of...
Me either. This is why I'm asking the question.
I know, but this Christian thought, or, you know, I don't know where they get this from, of how women have to be virginal and have to be pure and have to, this same kind of feeling that I don't think is held to the same for men. Like, sure, the marriage bed must be sacred, you know, as a Christian man, you kind of have that same belief, but the whole women being virginal and pure and untouched and things like that, I feel like that's very much a passed down kind of virtue that is pervasive among these evangelical crazy people like Luke.
So see how you didn't know the verse? Luke didn't know the verse either. And that is what's so concerning to me. For someone who is perpetuating these ideas and will walk in just full steam ahead with absolutely no evidence behind them.
Right.
And I just want to know what the verse is. Is it in Proverbs 31? Is it a verse about the ideal woman? Where is it? I need to know, because I haven't had Proverbs 31 memorized. I can't lie. So, yeah, I'm breaking out in hives right now. I'm itching myself. Natasha can see me. Anyway. And also, I am really enjoying seeing this Bachelorette, especially this particular one of Hannah, taking a hold of her sexuality and owning it with these men. And being so open with how she feels about sex. I love it.
Yeah. Even the way she owned it with Tyler, too, in a different way.
Yes.
It was
Because
really
she's
nice to
so
watch.
young. And to see somebody that young own their sexuality is really refreshing. We don't see that a whole lot.
Right, yeah.
So I was really happy to see that. So what are your initial thoughts?
I'm super happy with how this whole sex before marriage, even though you're Christian, and what that means, like that whole thing played out, particularly on this show, where their core fan base is unarguably of the Luke P world.
Yes.
Like,
Yep.
white, Midwestern or Southern, conservative, quote unquote, God-fearing. A lot of these people who watch the show are probably echoing very similar beliefs to Luke about keeping the marriage bed pure, and a woman should be this and a woman should be that. I mean, they watch The Bachelorette and they watch The Bachelor because they love this fairy tale shit of the women getting swept up and like the whole, I mean, this show is so just like drenched in like problematic, just gender normative foolishness. And so they love watching that 'cause it's so cookie cutter what we've all been taught and what they so corely believe in themselves as to how men and women should be operating in relationships. I think it probably gets a little icky every Fantasy Suites time. But even the fact that Fantasy Sweeps, not until I would say Caitlin Bristow season, where it was really brought to light that Fantasy Suites is about people fucking. Like, I think until then, it was always just like, oh, fantasy queens.
Really?
Yes. I feel like for so long, it's been like this kind of like taboo thing of like fantasy suites and sex, and like, let's not really discuss it. Let's just pretend that they go off. Because they're catering to their fan base who are people who are just like this. Now we know what the fuck goes down. I mean, it's not just sex. They obviously just get time to be away from cameras. But I just loved watching how this whole thing played out, knowing damn well who was home watching it and got Hannah, as you said, this particular bachelorette to hand Luke P his whole entire ass and in the process hand the audience's asses to them as well.
Yeah.
With seeing how much she was able to stand up for her body and what she wants to do with it, and still stand up for being a Christian woman. And okay, Luke, you can have your thoughts and you can believe whatever the hell you want to believe about the marriage bed, but you're not about to sit here and tell me that I'm not a Christian woman, that God doesn't love me, and yada yada yada. So I really appreciated seeing that. Another thought I have was the producers saw this entire thing a mile away.
God. I thought about that moment where she was on that cliff, like, I don't know, he won't talk to me. And they're like, well, you have to make him talk to you.
Yes. When they were like, it takes time, Hannah. It's fine. Just keep him around a little bit longer.
It'll be fine. Yeah, he's fine. He's not abusive or nuts at all. It's totally fine.
Oh my God, these producers ain't shit. They knew from casting that Luke was a Christian celibate, like newly celibate man. Yeah. And they also knew that Hannah was also a Christian woman who was not celibate. And that if he made it pretty far and they had feelings, that they were going to get to this moment. I don't think they knew how it would play out. Like, I don't know if they knew he was going to be a complete psychopath. And
I hope not.
I hope not that they knowingly casted an emotionally abusive, like like he showed these signs from the casting and they still cast him would be ridiculous, but also I wouldn't put it past them. So but they knew that if he made it to Fantasy Suites that this exact conversation would happen. They didn't know how it would play out, but they knew this shit would happen, which is, I mean, shout out to them for some impeccable casting because this is great television.
It is.
But still, Luke P is disgusting and probably should not have ever been casted on a show like this. Cause this was watching this emotional abuse for the past fucking 2 months has been horrible.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord. But yeah, I'm very excited to dig into this recap. I have multiple rants to go off on. Cannot wait. But before we get into that, tell me how your weekend was.
So, guys, this weekend I went on a solo self-care little journey trip.
Loved watching your Instagram story. Sorry, I just had to say that.
What?
So I just really enjoyed watching your Instagram story.
Oh.
It was like you were living in your full bouge, pampered, brunchin' like life that you just embody.
A little bit of the woods, but not too much.
Yes.
You know?
Loved it.
So was in Woodstock, New York this weekend in upstate New York. And the activities that I did were amazing. I went to a restorative yoga class. And when I'm in my everyday regular life, the yoga classes that I like to take are very intense. As you guys know, I like to do hot yoga in like 110-degree rooms, and it's like really fast and crazy, and it's 90 minutes, and it's nuts. I took a restorative yoga class. That shit was 3 poses, all using blankets and pillows.
So what are you doing?
You are sitting there with your thoughts. That's it.
Oh, so it's like meditation more than anything.
It was meditation. We also meditated for 3 minutes, and I did the whole 3 minutes and was like, oh my God, it's over. So I need to start meditating because it was much easier than I thought it was. But yeah, did a great yoga class, went horseback riding, and got a CBD oil massage. Amazing. Really great. Highly recommend.
Nice. Is it the CBD seep into your pores and you get high?
No.
No? Damn
Not
it.
at all. But
Okay.
I did feel like an actual worm. Like I felt like I had no bones whatsoever.
Oh, it just like relaxes everything. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah. Oh, cool. I gotta try that.
However, Woodstock, and I would dare to say all upstate New York, is so racist.
What? What?
So racist. And they are the type, I was talking to my friend today, they're the active racists. I'm used to passive racist.
Active racist?
But they are active. So, oh yeah. So I was walking down the street going like up to the little town, and some guy was driving and just held his finger up to me, like held the finger up. Yes.
People still doing the finger, first of all. Where are we? 1993? What?
Is this American Pie? Like, what? Anyway, I was walking through the town. Some guy with a bunch of people was like yelling at me about my hair.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Yep. I walked into a restaurant, and everybody turned around and looked at me, and the whole room got silent. Meanwhile, a Bob Marley song was playing, so I'm not really sure what their fucking problem was.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And I can just go on. Like, that wasn't even the only one. I can go on and on. The first night, I did not sleep until about 5 o'clock in the morning because I was like, I can't sleep with the sun down because I feel a way about sleeping in this town.
Dang. So all of that happened in the first day?
Yeah.
So by your first night, you were like, where am I?
Yeah, I'm by myself. I'm far from home. Like, what? Oh, my God. I didn't fall asleep till the sun came up. I was just so scared because I was like, fuck, I'm alone. Like, ugh. And I couldn't go out at night. There was like a tequila mezcal bar that I really wanted to go to. Nope. I'm not walking home at night. No way.
No, not with homeboys riding around in pickup trucks, giving the finger and talking about whatever. Jesus.
And on the weekend, the motorcycle crowd comes out. No, thank you.
No. That is wild.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't put nothing past white people, but also, like, we try to think, we're in the North, we're safe. Like, people are racist up here, but it's more covert, so whatever, we good. But to hear shit like this, like, overt, like, that's terrible. Particularly in Woodstock, New York, which is kind of, like, rural. You think it's, like, crunchy granola, like, free-loving white people, but apparently not.
And it's like this hippie town. A lot of the stores have like refugees welcome here, like all that stuff. There's rainbow flags everywhere. There's all this stuff. But walking around, I did not feel safe.
Oh no!
And I would not go back.
Hell no! Don't go back there. Oh, that's terrible. Because I know before going on this trip, you said you were kind of like nervous. This is your first time traveling alone, and would you do it again or no?
I would definitely travel alone, but now I'm so glad that I went to just a bus ride away alone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I have so many ideas about going to like Montana and Arizona and all these other places with all these things that I love, like horseback riding and yoga and just essential oils. But I can't go to these places by myself.
Yeah.
It is not worth it. Like, there's no way I can go alone to another place like that ever.
No, that is not ideal to be away and feel unsafe. Like, you came away to feel like to get restorative, like weekend for yourself, self-care weekend, whatever. And then you're in this self-care weekend and you're like worried about caring for yourself and your safety. Like,
literally worried if someone's gonna like write nigger on my door. Like,
oh my God.
it was like that level of racism. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Like, active racists have no bounds. So I was like, anything could happen.
Anything, yeah, truly. Damn, friend, I'm sorry.
Yeah. That's, you know, it is what it is. But it made me so grateful that we do this podcast too, because I know we do this, and there's so many young ladies who are either they don't think like the rest of their town, or they don't look like the rest of their town, and they listen to us and escape about the whitest show on earth. So it made me really grateful that we can connect with you all through this platform. And also made me really grateful for my summers on the vineyard. My summers at Martha's Vineyard were really important.
Martha's Vineyard.
Yep.
Which is like Black Bouge.
Yeah, it sure is. And summers on the Inkwell and doing all of that stuff. It made me so grateful for it. And I definitely now want to continue the tradition with my future babies of going to the vineyard, because it's an important place.
And going to safe havens where we are welcome and walking around are people that look like us. And
you could just walk around and no one will yell at you on the street. Yeah.
God. The luxuries of life. Good Lord. Well, I'm glad to hear it hasn't deterred you from traveling alone again. Just maybe not to Woodstock, New York. And to any listeners in Woodstock, send us an email. What's going on?
Or just upstate, like by there.
Anywhere near Woodstock. I don't really know.
Yeah, anywhere near Woodstock, so. Phoenicia, anywhere near the Catskills. Basically.
What's going on, guys? So let us know. That would be nice, because I think even like in New York, you're always thinking, okay, I want to go on a quick weekend trip. Like, you can take the Metro North to so many places and be there like in an hour. And so like Woodstock always shows up on those lists. Beacon, New York,
Tarrytown,
like all these like within, close train distances. But damn, if y'all turn it up like that, I ain't gonna take myself somewhere the fuck else.
All right.
And yeah, that's a strong no for me. But yeah, let us know what's going on.
Yes, please email us at the number 2 blackgirls, the number 1 rose@gmail.com.
Thank you very much. Shout out, as always, to the Patreon crew.
Woohoo!
Thank you for having us here. Still, you can rate, review, and subscribe to us on iTunes or any of the other platforms. Please write us a review if you haven't yet told us what you think. Or if you're new to the Patreon world or Patreon crew, you can still go and write us a review. That'd be great. We love reading them. As always, you can follow us on Twitter. We live tweet every Monday. Our handle's the number 2 BLK girls, the number 1 Rose. And then we're also on Facebook and Instagram if you search 2 Black Girls 1 Rose. I say it every week. If you're listening to us right now, screenshot yourself listening to our podcast. Screenshot the Patreon screen or the iTunes screen. Screenshot yourself with your headphones in, listening to the podcast. Tag us in your Instagram story. Share us with the world. We love when you guys tag us and just help us grow this community. We're only here because of this community that we have organically built. Justine and I can only do but so much with promoting the podcast and whatnot. It's really been all of you who have gotten the word out and have made us a permanent staple here in Bachelor Nation. So appreciate y'all. And shout out to BuzzFeed, who featured us in a quiz that a bunch of y'all sent to us. I would have never saw this. But it's a quiz that's called Make Some Decisions as the Bachelorette, and we'll tell you which Bachelor podcast you should listen to. And yeah, we were one of the options. I took the quiz and I was selected to listen to Two Black Girls, One Rose. My sister took the quiz and got some other damn podcast. And I was like, what kind of fan? Yeah.
Jessica.
She's like, I just took the quiz, but I got this, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you ain't shit. And
yeah, what?
What the hell? Like, how did you not answer everything that I said in my quiz? But yeah, so go do that. And shout out to the whole Two Black Girls, One Rose family.
Yes.
Who continues to just, make us grow and get recognized by fun things like BuzzFeed.
Yeah, it was fun.
As always, before we jump to the recap, Justine, I know you have a couple church announcements.
We sure do.
Take us to church.
So I have a few shout outs. Shout out for the love to Miriam and Joe, both new patrons. Shout out to you guys. And we got an email earlier on today, which I clicked on immediately, from Irina, who emailed us a story about Mr. Peter the pilot.
Can I take this away in Bachelor
And
Nation
you can
news?
take it right away to that Bachelor Nation news, girl.
Oh, Lord, Mr. Peter. Is going on The Bachelor or Bachelorette and being on TV really all that great of a life goal? I am so confused.
No, I guess because he has this really extreme running gimmick. So he probably figured he could take that pretty far with this pilot shit.
But he also has a full-fledged career. You are a pilot. He was employed by Delta. He is living a very normal life, a sweet ass life, living at home with his parents in that nice ass house. He drives a Mercedes S-Class, whatever the hell you called it. Why do you need Bachelor Instagram fame and fortune? You have a full ass career and a good ass job and a good ass car. What is wrong with these people?
You know what it reminds me of? This weekend, one of the good things about this weekend is I started watching Pose. Bitch, have you seen it?
No, it's on my list. There's too many shows I can't.
I watched the whole season in 24 hours. It was so good. I was in a puddle of tears and emotion. Oh my God, it was incredible. But there's a character on there who has the same life Peter does, right? And he's just so bored with his life that he can't stand it. And you'll have to watch the show to see what he gets up to. But he just gets up to mess. Because his life, it worked out. Everything worked out the way that it should.
All right. Hey, guys.
Hi.
So, side note, our file got corrupted, and we are literally re-recording the podcast for a full second time.
Yeah.
And it's now Tuesday at 11 p.m. and this is not what we were expecting to do with our time. So just quick disclaimer, if we sound like we're literally wanting to kill ourselves or if we just sound a little bit low energy right now or not as funny, that is why. We are literally re-recording the podcast right now at an ungodly hour at a time that we were not expecting to.
Yep.
So just wanted to put that out there, and we will pick up right now with Bachelor Nation news. Just go straight into it.
Yeah,
all right,
let's do it.
Okay, so Peter, I guess, is just that bored and decided that even though he has a great life as a fucking pilot and living the high life at home, driving a Mercedes S-Class, he decided he wanted to go after Bachelor Instagram fame and fortune. Which still perplexes me that people will literally toss away their whole lives, girlfriends included, for the chance to go on this here show.
Yeah.
So, in a scathing interview that dropped yesterday, whatever, I don't even know what day it is anymore, with Entertainment Tonight Online, Peter's ex, this is a model named Kaylee Lutz.
She's a model?
Came forward. She's a model.
Oh, that also changes things.
Well, I don't know. So she came forward with her side of the story. Remember, Reality Steve broke this story like last week or 2 weeks ago.
A while ago, yeah.
Where he said that he did an interview with Peter's ex, and then last minute she decided not to have him release it. Well, she finally came forward with her side of the story to Entertainment Tonight, and homegirl gave mad details.
Everything she got, pretty much.
Everything she got, pictures, Instagram receipts, text message, like this looks really bad. Peter looks like a fucking dick. So just a little bit of the breakdown. So during Peter's one-on-one date in Latvia, he talked a little bit about his last relationship where he said it was very serious. We felt very deeply for each other. But said like things didn't work out because it wasn't meant to be. It was like very vague. Like I remember me and you were even like, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
Like, what is he talking about? And then he said that he was left devastated by the breakup. And then like last week in Hometowns when he's with his parents, they all said like, yeah, he was so devastated. Took him a while to get over it, yada, yada. Well, Miss Kaylee here says she dated Peter for 5 months before he unexpectedly broke up with her in late December. And she said that she is the woman that he's speaking of, but she has a very different recollection of their relationship and how it ended.
Yeah, and for the detail that she was going in on, she was like talking about the kids they were going to have and where they were going to live, and they only dated for 5 months?
Yep, so they met in June of 2018.
Whoa.
She lived in Atlanta. He lived in LA. He was hired by Delta. So he was out in Atlanta, which is Delta's hub, doing training. And they met and he went back to LA. They kept up a long distance relationship where they're seeing each other every week or every other week. Sorry. They went on vacations around the US. They even went to Switzerland in November. She met his parents. And every time she went to visit him in LA, she said she stayed at the house with him and his family. So she spent a good chunk of time with his family. He met her family early on. They were talking about having her move to LA.
Yep.
They were, as you said, they were talking even about like the future when they have kids and like the logistics of going between LA and Atlanta. Like they were very serious.
And they went for... And 5 months is short for people who see each other all the time. So 5 months for a long distance relationship and you talk about your kids? I don't know.
She said they were seeing each other every week, though. Because he's a pilot, and I don't know, I don't know what kind of money situation she got, but she said they were seeing each other as much as one can see each other for a long distance relationship. So somehow they made it work, and they were, moving very quickly with their connection, yada, yada. So where things went south... 2 days before Christmas, so great timing there, Peter. She said that they FaceTimed, and he said that he wanted to end their relationship before it got more serious. And he didn't really give her a reason why, and she was pretty devastated and completely blindsided, of course, because this is not the conversation I was expecting, and we've been getting serious, so why all of a sudden are you, like, freaked out by how serious we are? So she said she thought, of course, first thing is like, is there another girl? And so she says she went and looked into his recent followers on Instagram, and she noticed that a Bachelorette producer had recently followed him, but at the time she didn't really think anything of it. But she knew that Peter was doing something shady, wasn't telling her something. Then she said, out of nowhere, he immediately deleted every trace of her on Instagram. Deleted their pictures, which is, expected when people break up, they delete photos.
Guess, yeah.
But he went as far as to untag himself from photos, deleted her comments from his page.
That was wild.
Unliked any photos that he liked of hers and deleted any comments on her page as well.
What kind of time he got to do all this?
Deleted every ounce, every morsel of evidence that he ever existed in her life and she ever existed in his life. And she had receipts to show. Like she had a screenshot of a DM between the two of them, and like a picture was like deleted from it. Yeah. So she came with the receipts. And
despite him trying to erase every trace of their attraction,
every erase, the internet don't lie.
No,
it's still there, my man. Texts don't lie. Yes, they are still there.
It is in pen, not pencil.
Exactly. So she just went on to say, like, she just felt absolutely betrayed that he was interviewing for a reality dating show, meanwhile, simultaneously planning a future with her.
In such a short amount of time. If you don't want to take a long distance relationship with a model in Atlanta that's serious, that's not expected. So don't take it serious. Like,
but he was taking it serious when he's bringing homegirl over to his parents' place.
That's because that's the only place he lives.
And she's meeting his family, and they're going on international vacations together. Yeah. Like, he's taking this shit seriously.
Yeah.
It sounds wild in our head because they're like long distance and
he
she's
has
a model and all this stuff.
He has
but
the choice to not. That's the thing. That's a choice.
He was choosing to, which is why homegirl's fucking pissed because he was literally fucking interviewing for a reality show while he was planning his whole entire, wifey life with this new girl. Uh-huh. Wild. So they asked in the interview, like, in the Entertainment Tonight interview, like, when did you find out that he was on The Bachelor? Was he upfront with you? She says she found out when he began filming the show, when they dropped the list of contestants, when they released the list of contestants, that her cousin saw it and sent it to her. And then she claims that they actually, her and Peter, so they broke up in December, but they kept in touch, like, up until March.
Way too long.
Which is way too long. I don't know why you're torturing yourself.
Well, you were together 5 months, and you kept together after the breakup for another 3 months?
Right. Talking about what? I don't even know.
Who knows?
After he unexpectedly broke up with you, but, these guys be fucking our heads up, so... So she said she spoke with him up until March, and then she found out about the show and texted him, and then obviously didn't hear anything back from him. Mm-hmm. So another last final thought from the interview, which was interesting. They asked her, his family during his hometown mentioned how hard it was for him to move on from his last relationship. Was that surprising to you? Were they referring to you? And she said, quote, "I was his last girlfriend, so it had to have been me that they're talking about. It was shocking to hear that. It made me wonder if he told his parents that I broke up with him instead of the other way around."
Which probably, yeah.
That's probably it. Yeah. Because his parents were like, "Oh my God, Peter, it was like so hard for him to get over his last relationship. So devastated." Little do they know, he fucking broke up with her and ripped the rug out from under her to go on this damn show. Mm-hmm. So... crazy interview. I definitely recommend checking it out.
Yeah, it was a good read.
It is a good, very juicy read. Mm-hmm. And homegirl came with all of the receipts. Mm-hmm. And Mr. Perfect Peter, who, I mean, we fucking jinxed it by saying
we did.
Wouldn't be some shit if he came forward with something. And sure enough, here he is being a fuckboy like everybody else on this damn show. If not, in my opinion, maybe worse than Jed, because Jed at least was in a tag team with his girl, and they went to this shit together.
I know. Yeah.
Peter full on broke up with somebody to go on the show.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if it's because he likes a whirlwind fairy tale, or if he just wants to be famous on Instagram.
Right. Like what? That is the thing that is wild to me, because you are a full on employed by Delta commercial pilot. Mm-hmm. Driving a Mercedes S-Class, living with your parents who look very nice. What other drama, Instagram, fame, and fortune are you trying to get wrapped up in? That doesn't even make any sense to me. Why do you need this in your life?
Everybody needs drama.
That shit's wild. So wild.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it for Bachelor Nation news. Should we?
Well, do you want to do the extra Bachelor Nation news now?
What's that?
Oh, Wes and that girl from Modern Family got engaged today.
Oh, Wells.
Sorry.
Wells. So
sorry.
Wes and Sarah Hyland?
Sarah Hyland.
Wells and, good for them. They've been together for a minute.
They have, and good for him, because that girl has syndication money.
I know. But hey, shout out to him. All right, dive into this.
Let's
recap,
go. Yes, please.
Yeah, let's go. God help us. Pray for us, you guys. Oof. Please put us in your prayers, because I can't even. Okay, let's just go.
Yeah.
So it's Fantasy Suites week. We're in Crete, Greece. Mm-hmm. Hannah is very excited. She said it's a long time since she's been physical with a man. and lets us know that Fantasy Suites Week is not just about sex. It's really about them getting like real time away from like the cameras and stuff.
Yeah.
So just a reminder, it's not just about the sex, y'all. So Peter is first up for his one-on-one date, or his overnight date, and Hannah says, Peter's the nice guy you feel like you can bring home to bring him anywhere. He's passionate, he's sexy,
He's
blah, blah,
the
blah,
safe
blah.
choice, essentially, is what she's
The
saying.
safe choice, right. So for their date, they meet on a beautiful beach, and then they head off into this big sailboat, where they just kind of sail around Crete, I guess.
Making out.
Making out, of course. So Peter's saying, I've never been this exposed with someone, this raw. Hannah has my heart. Which, shout out to Kaylee, because this fucking sucks if she's watching this show. Good God. And he says, I haven't been completely vocal about how I feel about Hannah. Because we remember from Hometowns last week, he never said I love you to her. So Hannah and Peter lie down, and he goes to her, do you know how much I like you? Where are we? Like, why are we doing
The playground?
The playground, do you like me a lot?
Oh my God.
Like me? Like, stop.
Check yes
So
or
Hannah,
no, or maybe.
Check yes or no, yeah. I'm like, what is this middle school shit? So Hannah, she obviously picked up the fact that he said liked and not loved. And so she's still wondering, like, where he stands.
Right.
But nonetheless, they still rolling around this boat, making out and having fun. So time for the nighttime portion of their date. Hannah shows up in her signature pink.
Looking so bomb. This outfit was so good.
Bomb. Really love this dress. It was like a little satin pink mini dress with the matching overcoat.
Yes.
Very Hannah-B look.
A lovely tone-on-tone look.
Love it. So Peter is in his confessional still yapping away, shading poor Kaylee, saying, I've never... Poor Kaylee. Good God. I can't even... Oh, Peter. Terrible. So disappointed.
Oh, yeah.
So he says, I've never met someone close to the person that Hannah is. Jesus Christ. So they head inside this like beautiful building, sit and chat. Peter gives a cheers, claiming, to fate for bringing us together. Everything he says now is just hilarious because this interview dropped today. Right. So anything he says now, I'm just looking through the lens of Kaylee. Okay. So he keeps talking. He's saying, I feel like my family's invested now for hometown. So, and, when we were flying around, I realized, like in his little plane, I realized I never felt that way with someone before. I feel like I'm my true self with you. And it made me realize how in love with you I am. And it's the greatest feeling ever. So we got his very predictable I love you. Yeah. Which just feels so forced and disingenuous.
Right. And it doesn't surprise me that he has a very typical I love you now after this interview came out. Because even Kaylee is her name? Kaylee said that he just says what women want him to hear. Or want to hear from him, I should say. So it's not surprising at all that he is doing this just to stay on the show, I guess.
Yeah. God, this sucks. Because even like last week, we were like, oh my God, Peter so loves Hannah. Like, he's so genuine. And now when any of these guys say anything, it's like, I can't believe anything. Yeah. Because everybody has a girlfriend off the show. Everybody got some like scathing fucking Reality Steve article that just dropped. And so it just like taints when you're watching the show. Yeah. Peter, last week, I thought he was actually really in love with her. Now when he says, I love you, I'm like, do you love her?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or what does love mean to you? Because he didn't break up with his girlfriend. It's not like he has a girlfriend.
No, he doesn't.
But
he broke up with her to go on national television.
Right.
But okay.
When the cameras go away, what's going to happen?
Right. So, I don't know. Hannah, she's all excited, of course. He said it, which is, I mean, you obviously knew this was coming. He didn't say it last week at Hometowns. He's going into Fantasy Suites. To get into Fantasy Suites, you have to at least drop the L-bomb. So.
Right.
he knew he had to do. So, but yeah, Hannah, she hands him the Fantasy Suites card, and they, head out and start walking towards the drum roll, please. A windmill.
Yes, Peter hit it twice in the windmill.
So the mystery has been solved. We were positive it was Tyler who was throwing it down twice.
100%.
Thought it was Tyler. And it was Peter who they fucked in a windmill, as we, learn further down in the episode. This windmill, in my opinion, looked extremely claustrophobic.
I thought it was cozy.
No, it looked... It just looked so tight in there.
Yeah.
It looked romantic and shit with all the candles and whatnot, but it also looked very dusty.
Yeah.
And stuffy. So, yeah, not for me. And of course, there's like a chest in there where they find condoms and
Hardy har.
Hardy har. So the next morning, Hannah and Peter all curled up in bed, and Hannah says in her confessional, waking up with Peter this morning, I feel amazing. Peter's just saying, I feel so confident in what we have. I love you. He says in his confessional, last night was the best night of my life.
OD, you ODing.
That's a huge statement. And so I don't know what went down to that fucking windmill, but...
Yeah, was it better than your Switzerland trip with Kaylee?
But then he said, after last night, mic drop, game over. So I don't know if he's implying that he threw it down.
I'm sure he did.
I don't know what tricks Mr. Peter has up his sleeve.
I would love to know, actually.
Because he seems so nice. And,
yeah.
I don't know, but... Well, they say lady in the street freaking the sheets. Peter could be
the same with a
just a nice guy on the streets and throwing it down in the fucking windmill. So I don't know. I'd love to know, but
yeah, him and like Clay. I would love to know like what they're doing.
Oh God, Clay, no, I can't even. Yeah, I'm not gonna.
Right?
I'm not gonna shade poor Clay. Right? But that I'm not picturing that in my head. Anyways, so Hannah walks him out, and they're all hugging and, sad to say goodbye. Time for the next date, and it is our man, Tyler.
My fave.
Tyler runs up to Hannah, gives his quintessential, I missed you, girl.
Love it. I love the
Always
comma girl.
Adds the girl. No, of course you do. I hate it. I love Tyler, but I hate that he always adds the, hey, girl, you look so good, girl. Who are you talking to, and why are you talking like this?
I love it.
Oh, Jesus. So Tyler, he says in his little interview, after last week's hometowns, I don't have any questions. I'm ready to propose and get down on one knee. And as he's saying all this, his face is very serious. Like, when Peter talks in his confessionals, he's all like laughing and like smiley. Tyler was like, I'm serious. Like, this is my girl. I'm ready to get down. I'm ready to propose.
Yeah.
Like,
and he's also farther ahead than Peter. Peter was like, oh, I'm afraid to say I love you. And Tyler's like, so I'm ready to get down on one knee and have these kids. So let's go.
Let's go. So Hannah says, our physical chemistry is on point. We always have an easy, great, fun time. He's so sweet and kind to me. So for their date, they head to a spa, and they're doing, a nice little couples massage.
Cute.
And they're just talking about, Tyler's just sharing how much his family loved her and how, well she got on with the brothers and the dad and all that stuff. And basically how you can see Tyler's like all giddy because you can tell that his family like really loved her and that they're all sold. And so he's sold.
Yeah.
So that's why he's like coming in guns blazing, like I'm ready to propose today.
Yes.
Yeah, he's not playing. So Hannah, she's saying same thing. Tyler's such a dream guy. I keep thinking to myself, wow, he wants to be with me. And so while Hannah's getting massaged, and she's, eyes closed, Tyler does a little switcheroo with the masseuse and takes over the massage, basically.
This freaked me out.
Freaked you out?
Yes. Yes.
Why?
You can't just take over the masseuse. Those people have licenses and things. You can't just you can't just do that. But they in another country. They probably got different rules.
Right.
Who knows?
So Tyler took over. Hannah obviously quickly realized these big ass manly hands were not her little tiny Greek masseuse from before. And realizes it's Tyler, and then they proceed to have a very intense, heavy,
Cinemax,
borderline R-rated makeout session. God damn.
Because she was topless, right?
Ooh. She was topless at some point.
I guess she put it back on.
I don't know if she had it back on. I'm not sure. Either way, they was hot and heavy, close, and just painting the picture for you guys. It was a lot. But Hannah says in her confessional, our physical chemistry and intimacy is not a problem, but I'm nervous and scared about how far our physical connection can go when our emotional connection needs to catch up sometimes. And she says, if Tyler is my forever, then I have forever to be physical with him. I need to make sure he's my forever.
Love how she put that.
Yes, this was my Hannah used her words moment, actually.
Nice.
Which she had many more later on in the episode. But I really like this one because it showed that she's making a conscious decision to make sure that she is not getting digmatized.
Yep.
She is realizing their physical connection is off the charts. This man is banging, but she's checking herself and realizing we can have sex for the rest of our lives, but that does not make a relationship. So I really need to make sure that he is my forever person for real, for real. So yeah, kind of like how she put that. Time for the nighttime portion of their date. Tyler walks up in that same fucking salmon blazer.
God. This rust blazer.
This damn blazer that's been passed around the house. Every guy has worn this damn blazer.
Oh my God. The what is it? The Brotherhood of the Traveling Blazer.
Brotherhood of the Traveling Blazer.
This is the new name for the season.
Yes, it's been everywhere, and Tyler has worn it one too many times, and I'm tired of seeing it. Even though he looks amazing in it, as always, I'm still tired of seeing this fucking blazer. And then Hannah walks up in her signature fucking modern day Xenon girl, the 21st century silver ass dress. I don't know why they keep putting this girl in silver.
And they keep doing this HSN showcase jewelry.
Yes. Damn, this was a terrible look for the both of them. Just walking to dinner looking a mess. Two very beautiful people that should be wearing better clothes than this. Right,
they just look so unpolished. I was like,
unpolished, and just tired. Both tired ass outfits.
Yes.
So mad watching both of them. Anyways, they sit for dinner. Hannah just comes right out and she says, I do have some concerns about our physical relationship. When I'm around you, our physical chemistry is completely off the charts. I want to hug you, kiss you. We're always all over each other. But I have to reset myself sometimes around you because there has to be more. And she says flat out, I don't want to go into fantasy suites and have sex because I want us to continue our emotional connection. And that's what we need in our fantasy suite. Which I thought was perfectly well said.
Yeah.
Perfectly well said.
This is a great way to set a boundary.
Yeah. Set the boundary. This is fantasy suite. Sure, it's about sex and all that, but for us, we ain't having sex because we already know that sex is not a problem for us. Right. We need to continue this emotional shit. So as she's saying all this, Tyler just looks very serious. He's taking it all in. And when she finishes talking, he basically just supports her all the way and is I do love you. I just want to spend more time with you and just be us. And Hannah, she's all happy this didn't phase Tyler at all. And she's giving him all this credit for, being respectful and strong and celebrating her boundaries.
Yeah, which should be normal.
Right.
But I will say this is something that we should celebrate about Tyler. Because these are really private, intimate moments that we don't see in between people a whole lot. So they should be celebrated when we see somebody respecting someone else's boundaries so soon before sex even starts. That they're acknowledging the non-consent before even trying to go farther or trying to convince her or this and that, whatever. Nope. Just, okay, you don't want to have sex? Gucci.
Right.
I'll just sit here with these blue balls all night. It's fine.
As you should, because I set the rules.
I said
nigga.
no.
Sorry.
Yep.
I said no. So yeah, he's getting, of course, everyone in line is like, oh my God, Tyler, he's so respectful, yada, yada, yada. Which is great. Yes, give him all the credit, but it also is very disturbing how like
low
he gets credit for doing the bare minimum of what he's supposed to do. Like, you shouldn't get a Trisket for respecting my body and my boundaries. It just shows you how fucked up our society is, particularly in today's, #MeToo world, where men have clearly revealed themselves to be pure hot trash in the last year or so. So the fact that Tyler looks like a godsend is really fucking sad, but shout out to Tyler, because, still give credit where credit's due, but it's still just, ridiculous that he even gets a biscuit for doing the bare minimum. Anyways, the next morning, they head out to, the front of the boat, and Hannah's just, thanking him for, the boundaries and making sure that they didn't go any further, and said that, even that within itself was, very hot, a hot thing, honestly.
Yeah, consent is hot.
Yes. Consent is hot. And then also, because she said further on that they would, make out, and then he would, stop and hold her and, make out. The start and stop is always, a little, a little juicy. So yeah, you don't have to have sex to get turned on and, still have, a hot moment together. So, and, yeah, so she kind of just, thanked him for that. And Tyler, again, he's very serious. In his interview, he says, it was one of the best nights of my life. So another one who just had the greatest night ever. And said, it's just love. That's going to be my girl. That's going to be my best friend. That's going to be my wife.
Just everything you want.
Everything you want. And also, because they didn't have sex, they truly connected on a whole different level than, everybody else. Because with sex, you have the foreplay, there's sex, then you lay in bed afterwards and stare at each other, and then you go back to having sex. They probably, every other date where she did have sex, they're just kind of lost in that.
Distracted by sex. Yeah.
Distraction. Versus with her and Tyler, they straight up were just, talking, connecting the whole time. So they were able to, really dive deep. So I can see why he's coming out now, this is my girl 100%, I'm ready right now.
Yeah.
So time for them to part ways, and Hannah, she got very emotional. She was tearing up, crying a little bit, and said, watching him leave really ripped me apart, which she did not get this emotional for Peter.
Nope. Nobody she had sex with.
Thing, with neither Peter nor Jed. But again, I think it just, shows, that her and Tyler just really connected on some other shit. And, her emotions even more deeply, or even more deeper with him, perhaps. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's my assessment. All right. Time for Jed's date. Now, off top, I just have to say I fully appreciated this entire date. Now, Jed ain't shit, as we've come to learn. Nope. But I really like the fact that he held her ass to the fire when it came to Luke. And he gave her the raw, brutal, honest truth that everybody back home, all the guys in the house, everybody's been wanting to say to her about Luke. He just brought it straight to her. And I appreciate it, because I think the whole world deserves an explanation for what the fuck this dude Luke is still doing around.
Absolutely. And
period.
Part of this is because he has a very reliable backup plan at home. So if he doesn't win, there's not really any sweat off his back, because he has a whole other wife at home. So
it's a win-win for Jed either way.
So he don't care.
He don't give a shit. Yeah. Oh, wow. That's terrible. Oh, God. So Jed, he says in his little interview, last time I saw Hannah, I was pretty angry. It was hurtful to stand there next to Luke, who's been so inconsistent and toxic this whole process. So he's going into this date with a massive chip on his shoulder, basically.
Yeah.
So for their date, they meet up in this little Greek village. And for their day, they're just like hanging out with this little Greek family. It's like dancing and eating, and it was very reminiscent of Ari and Sien's date.
Yes.
In Italy,
which was
they, like,
also
hung out
she
with
was
that family.
in fourth.
Oh yeah, it was the same timing. Yeah. So they're hanging out with this family. They're eating. They're taking shots. And one of the father of the family is like questioning Hannah about the whole process, and she's saying that she's not really ready to make a decision yet. And all the while, Jed is just like sitting in the cut, just giving her the side eye.
Yeah.
She's getting like grilled by this family, like, how will you decide? And she's like trying to answer and put these words together. Meanwhile, Jed is like sitting right beside her, and he flat out was like in the bottom two last week and is feeling some type of way.
And just is so sick of hearing about Luke B. That anything she says, even if she says the other three,
right,
he just can't even stand it. Luke is in the other three.
Right. Can't even do it. So Jed, eventually he just like can't even like do this anymore. So he like pulls her aside to have a chat. And he flat out tells her, something has been weighing on my heart for some time now. I've fallen for you, and it's so serious that I need some clarity on Luke. And he says, it doesn't add up to me. I want to see you with the best person you can be with. And I've seen Luke from the beginning take people's words and change them. I've seen him lie. And I don't understand how you can be as amazing as you are and consider someone like him. Talk about a mic drop.
It was so good. Coming from him, it's like, wow, the nerve of you.
The nerve of you, because we know you are trash right now in the present day.
Do we know you're trash? But your mother blatantly made a toast to the fact that you are trash.
You are trash. Oh, wow. Yeah.
But, I guess you're really the only one who has the odds. Who could say this? So
you can say all this because you can say all this and know that you can still go home and still have some girl sitting there waiting for you. Yep. So he drops all of that on Hannah, and she's just like stunned, like kind of lost for words. She's trying to like piece together the right words. She doesn't want to say too much or like throw people under the bus and things like that. Yeah. So she's like, how honest do you want me to be? And then she just says, at the beginning I had a really strong connection with Luke that I just couldn't describe. He grabbed my attention, and then I met his family last week, and I still think he's here for me. And there is a connection, but I'm just, trying to figure it out. I don't know what to say. Same old. She can't explain herself.
No. Which there's always one contestant who can't explain themselves, and they're usually the winner. Lauren B. and Ari. Even Rachel and Brian. I remember Rachel had to defend Brian quite a bit. Normally it's not the house villain since like episode 5.
Right.
So,
so that's,
So this makes it way worse. Because this happens every season.
Yeah, I would say definitely like Lauren B and Ari, like nobody understood what the fuck was going on. Yeah. Ari couldn't explain this connection with Lauren. The viewers at home had no clue what the hell was happening.
Yeah, like, Becca was like, how are you into me and into her?
We're totally different people.
We're very different.
Yeah, this has definitely happened before. But Hannah, I mean, the fact that he's such a contentious figure.
Yeah.
And has been so toxic and just has not gotten along with people, and yet she still can't explain herself as to why she's connecting with him is just very frustrating for us, and I can't even imagine for Jed in this moment. So after she basically can't explain herself, Jed hits her with a very great question where he says, if you're this close to finding your husband, what makes you hold on to someone so uncertain? Great question.
It is.
Great question, because it's true. Yeah. Like, every time we ask you about him, I don't know, I'm trying to figure it out. Let me figure it out. And it's like, you're trying to get proposed to in like 2 weeks, girl.
Yeah.
Like, by somebody that you're this unsure about. This doesn't make sense to any of us.
Yeah.
So, yeah, her answer to that, she basically was like, I don't like a feeling. Like, even her answer was very non-committal. Right. You couldn't even explain. And then she says, of course, like, I've seen different sides that you guys haven't seen of Luke.
Which I'm sure burned Jed up because Jed knows him way better than Hannah does.
Yes, he's lived in a house and has shared a bedroom with this man. Like, he spent more time with him, has seen other sides of him that yo ass have not seen in Hannah. So, and then I just think, like, if ever you have to say, if you have to describe someone as, I see a side of them that you don't see, that's just not a good person.
Right.
Like,
no.
I always, like, consistency in someone's character is a quality that as a woman we should want to have in a man. You don't want to have a man who is one way with his family, one way with his friends, one way with his enemies, and then another way with you. Like, that's not somebody that you'd want to be wifed up by. You want somebody who's consistent across the board.
Right.
So the fact that she's, like, trying to defend, well, I see the good sides that you guys don't see, like that, you just sound crazy now because you're defending someone who you don't actually know who he is because he's presented himself differently to the guy that you're sitting across right now, which is why he's questioning you up and down because he doesn't understand what you see in this person.
Right. And it's somebody whose opinion you should really trust because this is somebody who knows him well.
Yes.
So you should be trusting it. Also, you don't want him to come home and be friend Luke instead of wifey Luke.
Right. Because you want wifey Luke. That's Luke you know. You know who friend Luke. You don't know what friend Luke is. Shit. You got so many damn versions of his personality. Who the hell is time to keep up with all this?
Ugh.
Bible study Luke. Right. Friends Luke. Bachelor Mansion Luke. And then you Luke. Like, this is one too many personalities. You want one. Yes. One consistent one.
Yep.
Jeez. Anyways, time for the nighttime portion of their date. Hannah says in her little confession, I get it. I understand Jed's concerns, but I need him to know that my feelings about that relationship have no effect on our relationship. Which don't make no damn sense because it absolutely does.
Yeah, because it was between the two of them last week, so.
Yes, it was between the two of them last week, so that deeply concerned and affected him. And then the fact that you're keeping around this, like, very contentious psychopath that nobody likes is starting to make Jed question you. Right. So it is having an effect on your relationship. You can't compartmentalize these things. Yeah. That's not how, when you have someone like Luke around, you can't do that. Anyways, Hannah shows up. She looks great.
Yes.
Little slinky black.
Little slip dress.
Little slip dress. Another terrible Claire's diamond necklace.
Yeah, well, we gotta just keep it moving. Yep. Past the jewelry.
The jewelry has been horrendous this entire season.
Yeah, we gotta get a new sponsor for the jewelry.
Gots to. So anyways, they sit for dinner and Hannah starts by saying, I just want to start by saying thank you. And then, I appreciate your conversation earlier and that you felt like you could be open and honest with me. And Jed's like, yeah, it was good to get the air cleared. And Hannah, she's just ready to sweep everything under the rug. So she's like, great. So are we good? Are we good now? And Jed is like, well, actually,
as I was getting ready, I prepared more questions.
Right. So I have more I want to speak on. So he continues to go in and says, our relationships have nothing to do with each other, but I'd be completely lying if it hasn't affected how I feel. And it weighs on me a lot. And so Hannah, she's kind of caught off guard and she's like, well, I don't want it to affect how you feel about me. And he says, well, it says a lot about your decisions when you look at me and tell me you're falling for me, but then you keep around someone who's been so toxic to you and everyone else throughout this process. So Hannah, she's just sitting there just kind of like taking all of this in.
Yeah.
Jed continues, it makes me feel worried that you have a hard time letting go of things that aren't good for you in your life.
Which I felt like Jed was talking straight to me, and I feel attacked, Jed. Okay.
Damn.
First of all, you have no room to talk about letting go of anything. That's number one. Good sir.
All right, with your girl back home.
And number two, like, why are you yelling? Get out of here.
Ooh, but this was a read.
Yeah, was.
This was a very wise assessment.
Yep.
Where it made a lot of sense. It made a hell of a lot of sense. You were keeping around someone who is so toxic. That is making me question what is going on in your thought process and why do you choose to keep things around that are very obviously not good for you.
Right. What are you hanging on to so desperately that you have to keep them around and you forgive that much?
Right. So what is that about? And that's very worrying as someone who is potentially supposed to propose to you in 2 days.
Right.
Like, whew. Jed further continues and says, it makes me feel worried and I start to retract how I feel. Which is not what Hannah was trying to hear.
Yeah. No, because Hannah really, really likes Jed.
Oh, yeah. Totally is into this. He's the only one that she had said to him, I'm falling for you, right? At this point?
Yep.
So he says all this, which completely knocks the wind out of her, and she's just kind of sitting there stunned because she was going into this day thinking she could just sweep this shit under the rug. Little does she know he was hitting her with all this. So she says to him, I trust you and I trust your opinions, but I need you to trust me. And then you could tell she starts to get like pissed and frustrated. And so she gets up and is like, I just need a second. And like storms off walking. And Jed follows right behind her.
Which is annoying.
Very annoying. Just give the girl literally 5 seconds to like be with herself.
And this is like part of her process. She's done this damn near every single cocktail party. And we should know that this is like a part of her thing. She's got to be alone. She's got to talk to Jesus. She's got to be just by herself. And here you go with your big head.
Right. So Hannah, she just kind of like by this little pool area pacing and says, I have to keep explaining myself more and more and more about my feelings with Luke. I don't want to do this anymore. It's getting all pissed and in a tizzy, which, girl, you going to have to explain yourself when you keep around somebody who is universally hated.
Right.
Obviously toxic and has caused you nothing but aggravation. Like, you're going to have to explain yourself. I'm sorry.
And you have to think ahead, right, of like, you not only in this house, not only with those 4 guys, whatever, you have to explain yourself and him on like Good Morning America.
Yes. Like if you can't do this to Jed right now, how are you gonna get in front of America and explain the fact that you picked this loser? Like, what? Not even loser, this emotionally abusive, like toxic,
psychopath,
highly problematic psychopath. Like, so this is practice for the GMA. Okay. So they eventually, chat it out. They head back to the table. She kind of, quells her emotions a bit and says, I get it. I understand. You just have to let me figure it out. Which she's been saying this for weeks now. You just have to let me figure it out. Whatever it is.
But it was good foreshadowing.
Yes, for what is to come. Yes.
Because she sure did figure it out.
She sure did.
Yeah.
So Jed just, reassures her that, his concerns are coming from a good place, and they just like basically make up, and she obviously hands him the fantasy suite, and they head off to this bomb ass villa.
Really cool. He probably had the best venue for fantasy suite.
Absolutely. Yeah. Hell yeah. Compared to that dusty ass windmill, like he was in a
God, and that rocky ass boat. We even talk about how rocky the boat was for Tyler.
That's true. We didn't talk about Tyler's boat. That shit was docked at the port, whatever you call it. And it was swaying, rocking back and forth, and they were not even having sex. That shit was just rocking. Like, you and I both would have been laid out seasick on that shit. Terrible. So yeah, Jed 100% got the best fantasy suite. She had a fucking indoor pool in it, big ass bed, like beautiful. So the next morning, they are in bed and all kissy, curled up, and talk about how fun last night was. And Jed says, "I'm more sure than ever that I'm more sure than I've ever been about you." And she says, "I'm more sure about you too." And just looking at the two of them, they, to me, generally look like they were in love.
I know. Yeah. I was a little...
Which is wild.
Well, not a little worried. I'm very worried for Jed's mental health. Because
Jed's mental health?
Yeah, because the fact that he could sit up here and do this means that you have such little empathy for other people, and it's very scary to see.
Very scary.
Yeah.
Because, like, oh, God. Like, I know he came on the show with ulterior motives and intentions, but he actually does look like he's literally potentially fallen in love with her. But he also could be a sociopath and is just doing all this to be on the show and still chasing fame. So that's the icky thing with Jed. We still don't know. Is he actually in love with her and is just acting really, really well? Or is he this crazy and, like, emotionally, like, what is even the word? Like a vampire, and is just saying what he has to say to, like, keep going through the show.
Yeah. I wonder, because he hasn't self-sabotaged yet. He could have sent himself home a long time ago and still been a famous country singer.
And still gotten what he wanted and still go back to his girl. So, I don't know. So when they parted ways, same thing. There was no tears for Jed like there were for Tyler. But again, still think Tyler's Overnight was just, like, another level of, like, emotional connection.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, that was Jed's date. Time for Luke's date. So, you know, they meet up, classic run, jump, hug. They learn for their date that
I thought she was going to jump right over him.
Because they so damn bite-sized.
So little.
So yeah, classic run, jump, hug. They learned for their date that they're headed to Santorini via helicopter, which was amazing.
So cool.
So cool. So Hannah says, you know, I feel like Luke's at his best with me when nobody else sees that. Our hometowns went great, and I think that we're headed upwards.
I can't believe she thinks his hometown was great.
Right.
That's so crazy.
Because the Bible study was weird. And then
So
his family,
weird.
Like, everyone was denying that the stuff that was going on with the house with Luke was, like, not Luke at all. Like, oh my God, that's not Luke. That's so shocking that was going on. It's like, yeah, I've been dealing with shit for the past month with this dude, and you're all denying that this is your same brother and son. Like, fuck all of you.
God.
Ugh. But she's riding on that. For whatever reason, she thinks that Hometowns is great. You know, she had this one good week with him. Let's forget the fact that I've gone through 10 weeks of pure hell and nonsense, but she apparently is thinking that they're on an upward trend. So.
Yeah, it was like this week and then their first date, the group date.
Were the only two positive moments with Luke.
Yeah.
Oh, God. So Hannah says, you know, our connection is unlike anything I've experienced, and I'm thankful to be here in Santorini with a guy who loves me. So for their date, they just kind of walk around Santorini, very picturesque. And, you know, they eventually sit and have a little chat, and she's telling him how great it was to meet his family and see the person that I know you are. And he says to her, you know, when I look at you in the eyes, I see my future wife.
It's like, he really does look at her like she's a trophy.
Oh, that he's, like, won her already.
Yeah. Yep.
He's been acting like that since episode 1.
Yeah.
Since week 1. Yep.
Yeah, since he didn't give her his jacket. Yeah.
Yep.
Since that day.
Left her there shivered in the cold. Yep, since that very moment. Time for the nighttime portion of their date. Hannah, this outfit, I wrote down she looked like Peggy from Married with Children. What was this?
Which she did.
She did.
Individually, the pieces were good. It was just put together in one. It was doing the most.
A leopard skirt paired with a red leather jacket. You literally are dressed up as Peggy from Married with Children for Halloween.
Yep.
That is what you would wear.
Yeah. I thought of the Jennifer Coolidge from Legally Blonde. That character.
Like an older woman who's trying to dress young and hip. Like
and trying to be, like, sexy.
Yeah. Let me throw on my leopard and my red leather.
Yes. I even thought of, like, Fran Drescher, but I was like, Fran Drescher would have been cuter than that,
the
though.
nanny.
Fran Drescher used to be dressed down, though. She used to be, like,
she was.
looking good, but she would never wear this.
Oh, not a good one, Hannah. So Luke and Hannah sit for dinner. And Luke says, I'm so honored that you chose me to go on today's date. Because she was talking about Santorini is like one of her bucket list things. And, she gives a cheers to a beautiful day in Santorini and being at this place in our relationship from where we've come from to where we are today. Which is just hilarious when she sees where they're about to go in this conversation.
Yep.
So Luke says, let's talk about marriage. Forever shouldn't be taken lightly. I want to talk about what I want from a woman. And then he goes off on this weird fucking rant about how, I'm the spiritual leader in my household, and I know you are too, and it's not easy, and I want to make history with my family, and I don't know what the fuck any of this meant.
Yeah, I'm so confused as to, first of all, if he's a spiritual leader in his family, what is the rest of his family doing? Because I don't see him as a leader in any sense of the word. So
no, and he definitely had like a dad and like older siblings. How are you suddenly the spiritual leader of the house?
Yeah, unless they're all atheists, which we know they're not, because Psalm 46 was in the back of you and your dad talking during hometowns.
Right.
Yes, we remember. So you're not the spiritual leader in your house.
He's the self-declared spiritual leader in his own warped mind. So anyways, Luke continues and says, let's talk about sex. And says, it's an incredible thing, only when it's in the sanctity of marriage. And as he's saying this, Hannah's like, she's like, listening and like nodding confusedly, but like taking it in, which I appreciated. She just lets him talk. This whole date, she just lets him talk and bury his ass.
Yep.
And then she comes in at the end. So he continues on, the marriage bed should be kept pure. I've personally abstained from sex for 3 years now, and, I'm saving myself for marriage.
Oh, wait. He said, I've been celibate, I've been withstanding myself from sex for 3 to 4 years. Let me tell you something. When you are celibate and you are waiting, literally down to the hour the last time you had sex. Mm-hmm. So
not this rough estimate, 3 to 4 years.
Within years? Like...
Nah.
Come on.
The last time you was chopping it down. Stop.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Lord. So he says, I'm confident we're on the same page with our morals, but, I want to hear it from your mouth because people say that they believe in some things but then do something differently. This is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that he said, I want to hear it from your mouth, like, this is him imposing his personal morals and his personal beliefs on Hannah, and then is now trying to, like, feed words into her mouth.
Yeah, this has happened to me before with a guy who was agnostic, who thought that I was not Christian enough. Because
he is telling you are not a Christian woman. Because what?
Because I talked about sex and Jesus.
See, these people are bold.
Very
bold.
But he was another like Baptist church raised, went to church like 3 times a week. Like,
oh, so he got a whole complex going on.
He sure did. He sure did. He just didn't come out Christian, but it's the same thing. So
same shit. So Luke continues on. He says, I've heard people say that they want to explore fantasy suites on a sexual level, and I don't believe that's something you should be doing. Well, I'm glad you have so many thoughts on what I should be doing, Luke.
Yeah, because that all sounds like your business and not mine.
Right.
So
right. Exactly. He continues on. I want to make sure you're not being sexually intimate with the other relationships here. I have all the trust in the world for you, but want to make sure that we're on the same page. This is where he got my nigga you ain't shit award.
Nice.
And there's so many other moments, but I'm choosing this one right here.
Yeah.
Because this is some sick ass shit. And to the young women of Bachelor Nation, if you're a college student, you anywhere below the age of 29, because that's what I'm at, and I'm going to preach right now to the youngins. Take heed. Don't ever let a man judge you for making any decision that you want to make with your body.
Nope.
And try and make you feel less pure or less Christian or guilty for doing what you want to do. Okay? Because
Yeah.
we own our bodies. This thing that I walk around with every day, this shit is mine. Like, and the fact that he has the nerve to sit up here and tell her, like, I want to make sure that you're not being sexually intimate with other relationships. How dare you try to sit up here and tell me what I can do with my body that I own and me alone owns it?
Ridiculous. You also own your relationship with God, too. So don't let anybody try to tell you about that either.
Right. So that shit just irked me because, like, my daddy don't own my body. This vessel is mine. My boyfriend does not own this. The government does not own it. I alone own my body. I alone make decisions with what I want to do with it. And that's period. And so, like, the whole thing was just so sick to me and so reminiscent of just, like, guys who just feel like they have so much ownership over telling us what we can do with our bodies as women.
Yeah.
Ugh, it's so gross. So Luke continues on. You know, if you told me that you've had sex, then I'd be wanting to go home 100%. But if that's something you didn't do, you know, I'd want to continue growing our relationships. Again, what the fuck kind of sick shit is this?
Yeah, he's interesting because he, like, plays all of his cards at once. He, like, lays it all out. Like, if you do this, I'm out first. Instead of going for, like, the least,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like, he goes
Put
for,
it all
like,
out
the
there and set his
most
ass up.
outrageous boundary first. And then he retracts after that. And I guess it's worked since now.
Yeah, now.
But that's wild.
But he really messed up here because he basically was saying to her that my love for you is conditional.
Oh, yeah. It's contingent upon your sexual history within the past 4 days.
4 days. So, and that is not love. That is easily recognized as not love. When somebody says, I love you, but if you did this or that, then I'm out. Like,
and also to force her to go through her sexual history on television. Because we all know, like, you're not supposed to, the cameras aren't there, whatever. They both know those cameras are there, and he's making her do this mic'd up on ABC. Like, that is disgusting.
Disgusting. It's so controlling. But he said, I want to hear it out of your mouth. He sat right there and said, I need to hear this out of your mouth. So he says all of this, buries his ass, and Hannah comes in now and says, you know, sex is a very big deal to me. And I've said I've had sex with 2 people in my life. Both were from relationships where I thought that they would be my husband. Now, some things you just said to me, I don't agree with at all. And I'm kind of mad at the way you just said that. Why do you think you have the right to say that? You're not my husband. And then he, like, tries to cut her off. And she's like, nope. Continues on. She's like, you're questioning me and judging me when you don't have the right to do that. You may think that sex is a sin out of marriage, but pride is too. And this is all a pride thing. Love that she said that because that is so true.
Yeah.
So true that this is pride. It is. Yeah. It was, for me, it was very much in the same vein as men who are like, you know, if my woman cheated on me, I'd be fucking done with her. Like those same guys that, like, men, they can go cheat on us up and down and expect to come back and it's not a problem. But God forbid his woman cheats on him or even fucking winks at another guy. He's done. He's out. Like, he can't even fathom the fact that his woman would be sexual in any way or other. And a lot of guys think like that. A lot of men think like that. They're done if it comes to a woman, their woman being in any type of physical, you know, anything with somebody else. But they can cheat up and down. It ain't a problem for us, huh? God.
But you're supposed to be a good woman and stick by me. Yeah, right.
Yeah, and all of that is pride because they feel like they own us, you know? So Luke, you know, he continues on. He says, you know, I don't take it lightly when I say that I love you. You know, let's say you have had sex with all these other guys. You know, I'd be willing to work through anything. So here he comes trying to backtrack. Because as you said, he laid out all his cards, and now he's like, oh, shit, I see she's pissed.
Like, wait.
Wait a second. Let me take back what I just said.
Yep.
Too late. But yeah, classic Luke, just trying to all of a sudden just, like, say what he thinks that she wants to hear right now, but it's way too late. So Hannah says, she cuts him off. She's like, I'm a grown woman. I can make my own decisions. And then Luke goes, well, I don't want to get into this whole, being misunderstood thing again because, that's happened a lot during this process.
Oh my God.
You sick son of a bitch.
Yep.
Here comes the gaslighting.
Mm-hmm.
Here comes the gaslighting.
Yeah.
Well, Hannah, you have a tendency to mishear what I say, and I don't want you to misunderstand me. So the nerve of him.
I'm telling you, I wanted to escape to Bravo so bad so those Bravo producers could cut back to 5 seconds ago when he just said what he didn't say what he said. Oh.
Yes, that sepia tone flashback that they love to intersplice in there. Yes. Like, Luke, you just said what you said, and I heard exactly what you said. You're not going to sit up here right now and tell me that I'm misunderstanding and misheard what you just said 2 seconds ago. Like, that shit is sick. That's some sick-ass gaslighting. That is just, ugh. And then he says, I could understand a slip-up, but to have sex with all of them? And Hannah, at this point, you could just tell in her face that she's done.
Yeah.
Like,
he's gone.
He said enough. He has said enough. She is totally done. And she says, the words that you're saying are really not okay. And she said, the closest thing I felt to love at first sight was probably with you. Mm-hmm. And your relationship gave me so much hope. And then all this shit has been happening since.
Yeah.
You've broken my heart in this process already. And I've broken my own heart because I've ignored all of these red flags to then have this happen.
Like, this is the culmination of all of her hard work.
Yes. All of her hard work with this dumb ass.
Oh my God.
And then this is what happens. He sits here and fucking like slut shames you on national television, basically.
Oh my God.
Jesus Christ. And she says, to have you say this about me and to judge me and to make me feel like you wouldn't hold me as a woman of faith any longer if I had sex. Like, I could have asked you off for so many things that you've done that I don't want in a husband. And you're ready to ask me off for sex? Like, she went in because now he's playing with her character. He's about to fucking write her off as not Jezebel. A Christian woman, a Jezebel. Meanwhile, she has put up with all kinds of foolishness and has given you chance after chance after chance, but you're ready to kick her to the curb if she's had sex. So here he come again with his backtracking. Well, I didn't say something I don't mean. I mean, I did say something I didn't mean. If you did slip up and have sex with one of the guys, it doesn't change how I feel. And Hannah's like, I don't slip up.
Yeah, she keeps putting it into this category like, oh, we'll work through it. Oh, when you slipped up. No, you can't. He's not realizing that is what the problem is.
Yeah, and sex is not a slip up. Like, if I had sex with these guys, that was a conscious choice that I made for myself.
There's no jungle juice flowing in the fantasy suites. Like, I remember.
I know exactly what I did. This ain't college and I slipped up. Like, we grown. We know exactly what I'm doing. And so she says to him, like, do you hear yourself? Like, you need to... He sounds crazy. Like, he literally doesn't hear what he's saying. Yeah. She says, you need to know if I've had sex in order for you to know if you want to move forward with me. Like, do you actually hear yourself? So then at this point, Hannah brings up this Bible verse, which
this is where she gets my Hannah use her words moment.
Okay. Because so go into it because I kind of lost this one.
She actually used the Bible against him, which I was waiting for the actual Bible to come up with all this talk about Christianity. We're like dancing around the word. So
somebody drop a verse, please.
We can bring it back, which Hannah has. But Luke has never. So she was talking about the story of the woman who was going to be stoned for being an adulterer, because that's what they used to do. And Jesus said that who cast the first stone has not sinned. And she said, you're holding a stone. Like you're ready to throw
I know
one.
this verse for sure. And the great analogy, because he's sitting there about to burn her on the stake and stone her for a decision that she made, and she's up here trying to defend herself over something that is her life and her decision, and you ain't Jesus, so you don't get to judge me.
Nope.
So after she drops that verse on him, she then goes into her very beautiful breakup soliloquy that I just loved. She says, I have God in my heart, and I have light. You haven't shown respect for any of the guys here. You haven't shown respect for me. You're saying I should do this and do that. And I know that I have given this my all. I have cried. I have struggled. I have made decisions that have kept me up at night. There are so many times that I just wanted to say, I'm done with you. Mm-hmm. But I've been praying for clarity. And I feel like I finally got my clarity on you. And I know that I do not want you to be my husband. Preach, Hannah, preach. Couldn't have said any better.
The actual culmination of all that work she was talking about.
Yeah.
This was it.
Yeah. This was it. Her finding her voice, finding her words, getting her clarity.
Yeah.
We've been watching her fight and struggle through this whole damn thing, but she really came to and gave him the reading of a lifetime, which I just ate up every word of it. So Luke, he is stunned because he is not expecting her to flat out, literally said verbatim to him, I know I do not want you to be my husband. Like, you can't take that shit back. And so he says to her, can you give me a chance to speak? And Hannah just says, no. I know now. I have my clarity.
Yeah.
What else is there to say? All you do is talk and talk and talk in circles and say nothing.
The fact that he thinks he could turn this around is so crazy.
Wild. What else is there left to say? What are you going to say right now that is going to make her revert back to being in love with you? It's over. You don't see the doneness in her face?
It's over.
So Hannah, she just says, no, I have my clarity. And then, can I walk you out? And she stands up like she's ready to go. And Luke, he literally won't get up. He's still sitting in this chair. And he says, I respect that you have clarity, but can I share something really quick? And meanwhile, Hannah is literally standing over him, like arms crossed, done. And she says to him, no, it's over. Come on. So irritated and is like, come on, let's go. Then Luke had the nerve. I don't know where he found this nerve. But somehow he found it. And he said to her, I feel like you owe me a minute.
This was my nigga, you ain't shit moment.
Oh, yes. Because Hannah full on snapped right here.
She did. She did. He reached into the bowels of the current White House administration and found the audacity to say that she owes him something after she has given him chance after chance after chance after rose after chance. And now is finally finished. It is thunderstorming in Greece and you have got to leave. You did not make it to the fantasy suite where, I don't know, you're going to look at her. I don't know what you were going to do.
Right. But and you have the nerve to think that you are owed a minute.
Yep.
Oh my God. So Hannah full on snapped. She said, I don't owe you anything.
Yeah.
I can't believe you just said that. I'm so mad. I don't owe you anything. This
she was talking to herself, talking to God, talking to he was third on the list of who she was actually talking to.
She was talking to the air. I don't owe you any. I can't believe you just said that. I don't owe you anything. She was going off. I loved it. She said, I don't owe you anything. Please get up. Because he's still sitting down.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So Luke finally gets his ass up and Hannah walks him to the SUV and she is seething pissed. Pissed. And Luke still trying to fight, still trying to, get in his last little words. And he says, I was bringing up to you what I thought was just a perfect scenario, but I don't judge you. I love you. I don't care about your clarity. There's something in me that is refusing to get into this limo. And that's when Hannah just busted out laughing because she was like, I could probably get you in that limo. Oh, loved it. At this point, she's like, I just need you to get the fuck out of here because I can't. And she says to him, I have had sex and Jesus still loves me. And this is the first confirmation that Luke actually got that she had sex. Because this whole time they've been talking around sex and fantasy suites and what if she did this, what if she did that.
Yeah.
But he never actually got a confirmation until this moment. She says, I have had sex and Jesus still loves me. And the camera just looks at Luke's face and he's shocked. He literally is stunned that she had sex in the fantasy suite. Hello. Oh my God. So Hannah, she continues on because she actually is literally trying to get him the fuck to get into this van. And
she'll say whatever.
She'll say anything. Like, she is so uncut right now.
Yeah.
And she continues on. She says, from how you feel, me fucking in a windmill, you probably want to go home right now. Just drop it, just rubbing salt into his wound.
Yep.
Just let it sit there and marinate. And then we hear in the confessional, she says, and guess what? We did it a second time.
Woo!
So, her and Peter were throwing down morning, noon, and night in that windmill. And Hannah just says to him, my husband would never say what you said to me.
Nope.
And Luke at this point is just like still standing there, like staring at the ground, and is like, Hannah, and she's like, what? Can I pray with you before I leave? Oh. No. Oh, that irked the shit out of me. Because he's still he's still weaponizing Christianity. He's still trying to use it against her.
Still. I'm kind of curious as to how he would start it off, but.
A prayer for her?
Uh-huh.
To try and curb her Jezebel ways, because that's what he's looking at her as, basically. Get your ass in this van and get the fuck out of my face. Oh my God. I can't. That shit really irked me, because you are leaving now. Now you're trying to play this whole moral Christian high ground.
Yeah.
Let me pray over you before I go. No, get the fuck out of here. And while I'm at it, we also fucked over here. Like, I want her to just keep rubbing it in, just ride out your Jezebelness, girl.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
And I think in the beginning of this episode, actually I know because I was listening to it earlier today. I was asking if this was in Proverbs 31. It is not. I have searched Control F, sex, virginity, purity. In all of Proverbs 31, it is nowhere to be found.
So he said it was on. He said something about Proverbs.
No, Proverbs 31 is like the ideal woman. That is what a wife looks like in the Word of God.
Oh, interesting.
And no virginity is nowhere.
Was there. Because Jesus don't give two shits about who we fucking. He got a lot of other problems to deal with than what the hell we doing in our bedroom.
And that is not the primary focus of your relationship, especially if you're getting married.
Exactly.
Oh, God. Oh, it makes me so mad. Okay, let's close this out.
So Hannah, she just says in her confessionals, what I believe love is loving someone unconditionally. You love me through those flaws. And then she says, I answer to the Lord. I don't answer to Luke. I feel a weight lifted off my shoulders that I never have to deal with him again. Whew, girl. I mean... Us too. We have been through this journey with you. I just, like, the audacity of men like Luke. And there are so many of them out there.
Yeah.
These guys who feel like they deserve a say or an opinion about what we as women should be doing with our bodies.
Yeah.
And they have all these thoughts because they're men and they believe women should conduct themselves in a certain way to be worthy for them. And it's
because the world has been, conformed to what they want. So
yeah, it's the fucking patriarchy.
Yeah,
it's all that it is. And shit like this, this makes me really want to become one of those crunchy ass granola white girls who grow out their armpit hair.
Yep.
Breast swinging, don't wear bras.
Breast swinging.
Shave my head because my hair is not my beauty. Like, I understand those women now because it's like, fuck the patriarchy, fuck men, fuck what you're supposed to tell me, how I'm supposed to act, what I'm supposed to do with my body. Well, guess what? I'm gonna walk around looking like a wild banshee and y'all can't say nothing about it because this is my body and I own it.
Yep. And they still get dick down. Those women stay
Them
getting
girls
dick down.
Stay with a man. They always got a man. More power to them. Good God. So yeah, that was the episode, essentially. It has been such a journey. It's been insanely frustrating watching Hannah week after week with this complete psychotic loser. But I guess she just had to come to on her own timing. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it is what it is. She got there eventually.
Yeah.
I do have to echo Jed, though, with the fact that she did keep Luke around this long is very troubling.
Yeah. She was going through something.
She was going through something, but also it's like you going through all this, but you're also looking for a long-term marriage husband.
Mm-hmm.
Like this looks like some growth and some work that you need to be doing on your own.
Yeah.
Like this growing, maturing, and self-love stuff you need to be doing on your own, not on the journey to finding a husband.
Yeah.
And that's what makes me kind of just like worried for her. But best of luck. At least she got to this conclusion and didn't choose this dude in the end.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that was the episode. We did get a preview of next week and like the weeks to come. Mm-hmm. So next week, we see Peter, Luke, and Tyler standing at the rose ceremony waiting around. And I guess they discover that Luke isn't there. And so they're all hyped and excited that Luke is finally gone. It's like Christmas morning for these guys. Mm-hmm. Hannah, we hear her saying, you know, with Luke out of the picture, I can finally focus on my 3 relationships left. And then, surprise, surprise.
Luke's on the vlog. Hey, guys.
Luke's on the vlog, driving in this little SUV, saying something about, like, Hannah thought she was done with me. Well, she was sadly mistaken.
That's how you want to talk to your wife?
Right. What? You made a decision, but guess what? I know better for you. Is basically what he's trying to say. So basically, it looks like Luke interrupts the rose ceremony and says something along the lines of like, "This is my heart we're talking about here." And then Hannah, who is just completely fed up with this dude, screams at him in front of everybody. It's not about your heart. It's not about your heart. Fucking leave.
Like, the best.
Is done. He's like stalking her at this point. Like,
right.
How many times do I have to tell you to leave? And then we see all the guys kind of like surrounding Luke at one point. Like they're about to jump his ass.
Yeah.
Like,
Jed kind of, tugs his jacket. And he's like, "Don't touch me." He's like, "Why? What are you going to do?" Tyler's like, "Yeah, what are you going to do?"
Right. You got 6'2" Tyler and then 6'1" Peter and then 5'10" jacked ass
brolic Jed.
Brolic ass Jed. And then little shrimpy Luke.
Oh my God.
Like, please go sit somewhere.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, all the guys kind of rally around and trying to defend Hannah, who's like, you know, crying and frustrated, obviously. And then next week is a double episode. We also have the Men Tell All.
Yeah.
And Luke is going to be there. And so, I mean, I hope they just roast the shit out of him.
I hope so, too. I hope, like, every guy who has really been wronged by him, who's not in the final 3, obviously, get a chance to, like, really stick it to him. Yeah.
And I hope, because, I mean, one of the worst Men Tell Alls, in my opinion, was fucking Rachel's season with Lee.
Yeah.
With
definitely.
Lee the Racist, where basically it was like his, redemption tour.
Yeah.
And they framed the whole Men Tell All like it was this fucking racial kumbaya. They made him hug Kenny at the end and all that. Like, I don't want to see any of that shit. I want to see Luke roasted to death. I want to see conversation about emotional abuse and controlling and manipulation and gaslighting. Like, I want, if Chris Harrison's dusty ass don't say nothing, I at least want the guys in the audience to hold him to the fire.
Yeah. Or these producers are messy. Have his ex-girlfriend come up.
Have something. Like, let's address what we've been watching for the last, 2 months, which is just straight up emotional abuse. That was very triggering and alarming and something that needs to be discussed because you have a lot of young women in Bachelor Nation who are watching this. And it's been a very distressing season, to say the least.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's next week. And then in 2 weeks, we have the finale, where didn't really see much, but we saw Hannah crying. We finally see her parents. We see her mom and her dad.
Yeah.
Finally come along. And yeah, didn't really catch the rest, but that's in 2 weeks. So yeah, that's the episode, my friends.
That's it.
We did it, Justine.
We did it.
We did it. We literally recorded this episode twice.
2
God
times.
help us. Twice. Pray for us.
Please.
Pray over this file so it does not get corrupted.
Yes.
Because if it does, we are not doing this shit again, and we will be posting a Instagram Live.
Yes, I was just gonna say that. We're just gonna do an Instagram Live.
Instagram Live, and let y'all know what it is, and maybe count down some moments, and that's about it.
That's it.
pray to the Lord that we get this shit off the ground and that is posted for y'all in the morning. And yeah, as always, rate, review, subscribe. We'll be back next week. We have a double episode next week. Pray for us next week as well.
Yeah, prayers. Just stay through September with the prayers,
Prayer
please.
warriors,
Thank you
please.
so much.
But yeah, hit us up on email, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Tag us in your story, please, for the love of God.
Please.
Support us this week. And tag us in your story. Share us for the world. Tag your face in the story. Tell us how you like the episode. We tried our best. We're tired of shit. But we have to do this for you guys because we love this community.
Yep.
And that's it. See you next week, guys.
Love ya. Bye.
Bye.